Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of tabletop role-playing game news told to you by the OGGM who's not wearing any shoes. It's Monday morning here at Site B. It's 8:49 in the morning on this, the 25th day of March, and it is a lovely spring morning with only a few teeny clouds in the sky despite the surprise rainstorm and 40-mile-an-hour winds. So we're still under the gale warning. Gale warning, that's your favorite weather girl's name. It's Monday, and it is the first Monday post first con of the season. Well, I mean Emerald Con, but yeah, whatever. Okay, first con that I count. Garycon was over the weekend, run by our dear friend Luke Gygax, and it was a very interesting con due to the fact of the very large presence of Wizards of the Coast, which surprised me that Wizards of the Coast would be at a con created by Gary Gygax's son, Luke Gygax, dedicated to Gygax, and having people there like Tom Wham, Earl Otis, and a lot of the the old white dudes, as Wizards of the Coast refers to them. I'm very interested to know why Luke Gygax would allow Wizards there after all the horrible things they said about his dad. Well, I mean, we know why Luke Gygax would allow Wizards of the Coast to be there, despite all the horrible things Wizards of the Coast have said about his dad, and that's simply Lincoln, Washington, Franklin. Yeah, money. Wizards of the Coast offered Garycon enough money to be there. And as one person once said to me on Saturday, I am surprised no one burnt down the booth or even confronted them. I would have thought at least somebody would have confronted them for being there and the stuff they say about the old timers, but I guess we were very well behaved. So thank you, everybody, though I'm sure there will be a ton of vlogs like mine. Anyways, it's Monday, so it's time to, speaking of Garycon and post-con, open up our maps, take out our Sextent, and chart our course across the tabletop role-playing game maelstrom that see what news will affect the hobby this week. Most of it coming out of Garycon or Emerald Con or whatever. So Dragonbane has a bestiary coming out. It's already being very well received. Dragonbane being a lot bigger, better, and more popular than I expected it to. So congratulations to our friends over at Free League. This seems to be a contender for, I don't know, something. This was released as... If you guys remember, there was a contest last year sponsored by Hasbro and Lego to make a D&D appropriate Lego set. Of course, the part of the contest was you could only use existing Legos. You couldn't make any of your own or print any of your own or use things from the non-Lego brick sets that are out there that look like Legos but aren't. It had to be all made from Lego. So obviously this is not the one that won the contest. This is the one that they made based upon the one that won the contest. So I'm sure there are some changes because now it's, had a chance for them to make specialty, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, the individual, I think this is a limited run, somewhere between like 500 and 1,000. It's running almost $400, which, for normal Legos is outrageous when I can just go to the, dollar store and buy a bunch of Legos for like $1. But if for the extreme collectors, that's not unusual. There are some really pricey Legos out there. Yeah, so that's cool. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to talk about this because now Lego and D&D are official. Whatever. Jim Ward passed away, as you know, from diabetes, I believe. I'm not sure. But, yeah. So our condolences to the friends and family of Mr. Ward and those influenced by his work. Here's a little story that seemed to pass everybody. So Wizards announced that game stores, local game stores in US and Canada will get the Dungeons and Dragons physical releases 2 weeks before mass markets. So Around the Table and North Coast Role Playing is going to get the Player's Handbook and the Vecna thing 2 weeks before Target and Amazon gets it. I really find that hard to believe. Well, they're really pushing the Vecna thing and the pay-to-win Vecna thing that's coming out before the Vecna thing. So that might be the only one. But it reads like that they're saying everything's going to be available to small mom and pop before it's on the shelves at Target. I find that hard to believe. And the first one being the Vecna thing, which is out in May, as you know. And the pre-buy, pay-to-win early product that they're trying to push to get you to buy. So you expect me to believe that Wizards of the Coast is going to have product on the shelves at friendly local game store, Game Ogre, Around the Table, North Coast Role Playing, Meeple and Kings, Le Maison du Guerre, before they have it at the shelves at Target, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble and all the... No, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I think what they're going to go is say, oh, hey, yeah, we definitely will have it on the shelves. And then, oh, no, printing got delayed. I know we said it was going to be on the shelves before Target got it. There was a delay in the printing. It won't be... Oh, now, yeah, I don't even know why. I find it very hard to believe that they expect anybody to believe that, mom and pop will get it before Target. They released the list of the adventures that was going to be on Quest for the Infinite Staircase. There's a couple on there that are extremely questionable, like Pharaoh. Like there's no way Pharaoh would stand up to the inclusion panel that they have talked about, considering it's all dealing with stuff in ancient Egypt, much less Hidden Shrine of Takamachin or any of the other ones. So I'm sure they will be highly edited 5e versions of the classics, or you could just get the original classics online. Another big thing was apparently Kobold Press having a product appear on D&D Beyond. That caused a lot of outrage because people were like, hey, Kobold Press said they weren't going to make 5e anymore. What happened to Project Black Flag? What happened to Tales from the Valiant? You betrayed us. You said something you never meant to, and you didn't mean. And as we went over when this story was first broke a couple days ago, Kobold Press did say very specifically when Project Black Flag was announced that before they were going to do anything, they had to fulfill all their pre-existing 5e contracts. So this Tomb of Beasts things could already have been in the works before and so they're just continuing to fulfill that. And two, they never came out and said they're never making product for Wizards of the Coast ever again. They know where the money is. They're smart. And I think you would want to Kobold Press product on D&D Beyond, because if you've got to use D&D Beyond, you probably want the better product. And if we're comparing D&D Beyond Wizards of the Coast product to Kobold Press product, we already know that whatever Kobold Press makes is 1,000 times better than anything Wizards of the Coast is going to make. So, it's not great, but it's not awful. And we know that Converse has announced some Dungeons and Dragons themed clothing and tennis shoes coming out in April, and people are like, boo, hiss, but I'm like, hey, at least somebody is giving us some Dungeons and Dragons 50th anniversary clothing, because Lord knows Wizards hasn't. I mean, you would think it would write itself, right? You would think it would just print money, put the symbol for, Year of the Dragon, because it is the Year of the Dragon, on the same t-shirt with Dungeons and Dragons 50th. Yeah, just that t-shirt. I would have even bought that t-shirt. But now you can spend a couple $100 to get a pair of shoes. Also at Garycon, we had some previews for the art for the upcoming products. Of course, Wizards of the Coast made very clear that this is not the official art. This is just the working art. They also wanted you to remember that there's going to be brand new art for every single class and subclass and a whole bunch of other things that don't really need art, somewhere between 75 and 115 new pieces of unnecessary art in the player's handbook, because they have to justify charging you $80 or whatever it's going to be for basically 20 pages of errata. Ooh, but look, here's a full page picture of Thieves' Tools. It's really, no, I don't need a full page picture of every single class, every single race, every single subclass, every single spell. No, small black and white, like in the original Dungeon Master's Guide, and it's fine. this is, we don't really need art to the player's handbook. I mean, to the DM's guide. Nobody cares what the tiefling looks like because they're not going to make their tiefling look like your tiefling anyways. So why include an entire page of art other than to fill space? We know that the Vecna Eye of Ruin thing is out, and they've told us about that and what we can expect Vecna to be visiting. But don't worry, in case you're curious, all you have to do is watch the half-an-hour-long interview with the individuals who wrote it, and they tell you the entire plot more than once, and they let you know how it ends. So you don't really need to spend money. If you wanted to get a Vecna-themed adventure, I would, again, recommend Scott McClintock's Doom Forgotten Realms, still available on DM's Guild. And, or you could just watch the video, listen to the woman tell you the plot over and over again and tell you how it ends, and then just write your own and go, hey, I don't need to buy yours. You told me the plot. I'm going to make my own. We've got the preview of the Making a Dungeons & Dragons thing, and, of course, man, that again, this was at Garycon. This was the people who said, Gary would and Dave and those guys would never pass the inclusion, the utter lack of diversity, never allowing people like to play, how racist, sexist, and secular the guys in Wisconsin War. We wanted to make sure that you understood that there's no way these guys would be able to write D&D content today. It would never pass the inclusion. But yeah, apparently, despite that, they were able to have a preview at Garycon. And then there was this announcement. Deborah Ann Wool and Matt Mercer consulting on the Dungeon Master's Guide for 2024. Well, 2025, because it's not coming out until February of 2025. No, that's the Monster Manual. DM's Guide is coming out. It's coming out in November. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I need caffeine. So there's two questions that came out of this announcement. One, who's Deborah Ann Wool? I didn't know she played D&D. And two, Matt Mercer sold out. Now, mind you, the word is consulted. Consulted. Not wrote, not directed, not dedicated, consulted. So before people start blowing this out of proportion, let us remember that Matt Mercer has a long-standing relationship with Wizards. He has a long-standing friendship with Christopher Perkins. They've appeared on each other's shows multiple times. This could have been something he did last year or the year before, because they've been working on this for a while. And his contract with Wizards only expired middle of last year. So this could have been something he did before the contract expired, or it could have just been a one-off, or he was helping a friend out. Doesn't necessarily mean he has sold out and gone back to work for Wizards. So please do not spread that rumor until we have more information, because remember, he consulted. And as somebody who has consulted on products in the past, I can tell you consulted can cover a lot of stuff. Consulted can simply have meant, hey, what do you think of this? And, Perkins sends him an email with some information, and he's like, I'll go over it over the weekend. And he gets back to him on Monday, and then and Perkins goes, great, I'll mention that you consulted it, because maybe that'll get us some good, will from the critters who are angry at us. Because basically, even mentioning Matt or bringing Matt out to talk about it is an attempt to garner some goodwill back towards the DM's Guide and towards Wizards of the Coast. But I mean, the 2024 DM's Guide is going to be 90% fluff and tons of art. So it's not like he wrote anything new or original or exciting or breathtaking. It's not like he sold out. He consulted. We don't even know if he wrote anything. He just looked at, all consulting means is he looked at it and went, yeah, I'm cool with that. As for who is Deborah Ann Wool, she's an actress. She is most probably well known for playing Patsy on Jessica Jones. On Netflix, she has run a lot of D&D stuff and D&D adjacent stuff. Apparently, she claims she's been gaming in Los Angeles for a long time. Funny, I never remember running into her when I was gaming in Los Angeles, but whatever. And apparently she's actually a very good DM from what I've been told. So Yeah. So no, again, please do not misquote this. Mercer didn't write anything, or he was a consultant, which meant he might have just seen a page of information and went, yeah, I'm okay with that, and that's it. That could have been the level. So no more Mercer sold out, or haha, I told you Mercer would go back to D&D, blah 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 blah. The other big news, of course, was the combat wheelchair controversy rose its ugly head last week and over the weekend, and there has been a lot of shots fired. I made a very passionate video about the topic and about disability as a disabled person, offering a counterpoint to the main argument that people are giving, for the combat wheelchair. So if you want to see that video, it's right there. My thoughts on the combat wheelchair. I really don't want to talk about it again. I have a feeling I'm going to have to, but I think I've made my point very clear in regards to the fetishizing and romanticizing of the disabled, and perpetrating the idea that disabled people, if they had the ability to have the magic get away with it, make their disability go away, wouldn't. Somebody even said I was projecting the idea of eugenics, genetically manipulation and a removal of disabilities, because I said, magic, which no, eugenics and attaching one to the other is really a far stretch. There's nothing in disability advocacy and genocide or practicing eugenics. So you think that if somebody gets a splint on their arm because they broke their arm and they have to have screws installed, that's eugenics, that's practicing genetic manipulation to remove something from the world, that's practicing genocide. What about that heart transplant your uncle got? Eugenics? What about the polio vaccine? Was that eugenics? Was that genocide? Was that removing entire chunks? Yeah, no. Anyways, that's about it for the news today. Big stories, small stories. Con season has begun, so it'll be interesting to see how Wizards of the Coast tries to pick up traction coming out of a very, very negative first 3 months of 2024. Not a lot of Wizards of the Coast love out there, so yeah, I'm sure in getting Mercer to have some attachment to it helps. But we're not going to see the DM's guide until late November. And really, Matt Mercer, I can't believe you dragged yourself out again to appear, even if it wasn't a pre-recorded. You would stop, dude. Just stop. Stop putting yourself in front of the public. Stop associating yourself with anything social media or gaming related. Just work in the background, dude. Just work in the background. Just say, I'll consult, but don't use my name. Just take a year off. Take a year off from social media. Okay, that's it. Talk to you later. Bye.